So it's been decided that the Jeep behind me is getting a lift kit. Not this 96 Jeep Grand Cherokee, this 97 Jeep Grand Cherokee. One of the first things we're gonna do to get it ready for that lift kit is replace the ball joints. This 97 Jeep Grand Cherokee is 260,000 miles with a strong motor and transmission. I keep up with the maintenance and it doesn't have any suspension issues, and I plan to keep it that way. Ball joints connect the axle or control arm to the steering knuckle and act as a pivot point between the wheels and suspension of your vehicle. To better understand how important they are, here's what total ball joint failure looks like. You first want to begin by jacking up the front end and placing jack stands under the body and axle. Then remove the wheel with a 19mm socket. I'm using a 10mm socket to remove the two caliper bolts, but they're usually a 13mm. Next, you'll need a 13mm 12-point socket to remove the 3 hub bolts. Since we have the front end off the ground, we can turn the key to the accessory position and turn the wheel to gain better access. Now that we have all 3 fasteners removed, we can give this hub a couple whacks and remove it with the axle shaft as one piece. When removing the axle shaft, try not to let it drag along the inner axle housing. Now it's time to remove the cotter pins from the upper and lower ball joint castle nut. You'll need a 28mm socket to remove the lower ball joint castle nut, but since I'm removing the nut with the cotter pin still inside, I'll be using a 29mm socket. You'll need a 22mm socket to remove the upper ball joint castle nut. In order to remove the steering knuckle, we're going to have to strike it with a small sledgehammer. I found that when you apply pressure to the lower ball stud with a floor jack, the knuckle separates faster. That took all of maybe 30 seconds, but the stud from the upper ball joint decided to break off in the knuckle. Even though this isn't supposed to happen, we have no problems, only solutions. Place a jack stand under the steering knuckle since it's still connected to the tie rod. And over here, I have a cheap front end service kit that I ordered off eBay for around $40 shipped. It hasn't let me down yet. Remember, always wear your safety glasses. But I don't think they would have been much help in that situation. I ordered this 21-piece master ball joint set online for only $70. I've banged out plenty ball joints with it and it hasn't let me down yet. I ordered this Ampro Dodge Ram Jeep ball joint adapter set for $55 and it comes with 4 cups designed to remove and install ball joints specific to these vehicles. But the same cups are found in this 21-piece master set. We're pressing out the upper ball joints first, so set the press up, then lubricate the threads. This cup goes around the diameter just past the lip of the upper ball joint. This goes on top of the last piece and has a place for the large screw to bottom out. This little piece that goes on the bottom side is what's going to push the ball joint through the axle. Now that we have our tool set up, you may find you don't have enough space to use a breaker bar. But since we have the body supported with jack stands, we can lower the axle to make enough room. You'll need a 22mm socket to work the press tool. The goal is to tighten it down, then hit what the ball joint goes through. Repeat these steps until the ball joint has been extracted. The lower ball joint gets pressed downward, and we'll be using this cup because it fits the diameter and has a hole for the ball stud to pass through. Before installing the new ball joints, it's a good idea to clean out the area with some sandpaper or a wire brush. The lower ball joint gets pressed in first. Just make sure to align the cotter pin holes for easy access later. This is the cup I'm using for installation, so you can see the joint being pressed in. The ball joint is fully seated when the lip is flush with the axle. To install the upper ball joint, I'll be using this piece because it fits the form of the axle, so I won't need to use a metal spacer. And this cup will go on top. As with the lower ball joint, the lip should sit flush with the axle, and don't forget to install the protective boot. Install the grease fittings with a 7mm wrench, clean out the steering knuckle, and using a little anti-seize won't hurt anything. Installation is reversal removal. Remember to put the ABS bracket on the upper ball joint before the castle nut. According to Chrysler, you must torque the lower nut to 80 foot-pounds first, then the upper nut to 75 foot-pounds. This sets proper preload on the ball joints. So that's how you do that. Fake enthusiasm. So next thing I'm replacing under this Jeep is the steering link.